Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. You're in the know with Esther and Larry. Art on the air today. Stay in the know with Larry and Esther. Art on the air our way. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show.
And welcome. You're listening to Art on the Air on WVLP 103.1 FM and Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM. Normally, this is our weekly program covering arts and arts events in Valparaiso throughout Northwest Indiana, but this is a special edition checking in with artists of what they're doing during the COVID-19 issue that's going on. I'm Larry Brechner of New Perspectives Photography, right alongside here with Ester Golden of The Nest in Michigan City.
Aloha, everyone.
We're your hosts for Art on the Air. That theme music you heard at the opening is by Billy and Renee Foster, and we'd like to thank them. Our underwriters are Brower Museum at Valparaiso University, Mary Levan, an art patron, and Walt Breininger of Paragon Investments. Always thanks to Greg Kovacs, the station manager, but we are actually doing this in my remote studio in Chesterton, Indiana. Art on the Air is supported by the Indiana Arts Commission and the National Endowments for the Arts. Currently, we're not taking information about your arts or arts-related events, but you can contact us at artontheairwvlp@gmail.com and send us information. We know that the arts events calendar will be up and running when we get back. Our program, along with all the programs, stream live at wvlp.org. Art on the Air is rebroadcast on Mondays at 5 p.m. You can hear an entire show archive at brech.com/AOTA. That's Brech, BRECH.com/AOTA. And we are carried on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM every Sunday at 7 p.m. We always are looking for underwriter support. We'll just briefly mention that you can do that at wvlp.org/support. But the purpose of this show is to interview artists and what they're doing in their downtime as we're all sheltering in place and how they're being creative and everything. So we're going to move on to that segment right now with various artists that we brought on. And now for Art on the Air, for our special edition, we have Caroline Hatch on the phone, and we welcome you to our special edition, Caroline.
Aloha. Hello.
Well, we like to both ask all of our people, what are you doing during these shut-in-place times, as an artist and everything? First, tell us a little bit about what you do, but also what you're doing.
Well, let's see. What do? I do a lot. I draw, I paint, I make jewelry, I write, and right now, being isolated, so to speak, I'm writing a lot. And that's kind of my favorite art form that I do. And I kind of put it away for about 10 years. And I went to a workshop at the Nest, My Path, and I pulled out a bunch of old journals. And I had a bunch of short stories that I had started, and they were good. And I think if an artist says something is good, it's generally good, because no artist says something is good. They're very good.
I think creative people are better at hibernating than a lot of other people. I mean, they like to, they work alone a lot of times in studios.
Yeah, this is not a difficult time for me. I'm so used to being isolated and kind of having to do that for my work and really be inside myself, so to speak. So this has been, I think for creative people, this is actually a good thing. This is a positive thing right now. It is for me. I'm finding that I'm more productive right now because I don't feel so guilty that my husband's at work dealing with people and meetings, and I'm home working in a studio and painting, So,
Except you have really been reaching out with reading suggestions and letting us know that Dan has loaned out his 3D printer to the hospital. So
yeah. So my husband is a comic dealer. He collects. He has a private collection, and he also collects high-grade comics. And he's had this YouTube channel for 3-4 years, and he's had me on as a guest for 4 or 5 episodes on YouTube, and he he works at a library. He's the IT guy at the library, and he has there's a makerspace lab, and they have 3 3D printers, and he was asked if one of them could be loaned to make what goes over the mask and parts of other equipment that may be needed right now at the hospitals. So it's been we've been really fortunate. I'm stuck at home with my best friend, so I am actually really happy right now during these grim times, I guess.
So you guys get to be together. Where can you see some of those YouTube things? Is there a place to go, like on Facebook, or that we could see some of your things that your husband does?
Yeah, so YouTube, he has a channel called Bookem Dano Books and Comics, and you can subscribe and you can learn all about comics and graded comics and where to find them, reading suggestions, especially now for kids of all ages or adults. I'm getting into all sorts of different comics, and that's what we're doing. We're reading, trying to watch the news just as little as possible, and just having good discussions at night.
What's the first thing you want to do after this all ends?
Oh, that's a great question. I want to hug people. I do. I just want to be in a room with people and really just hear about what they've been doing. I think it's so wonderful what you guys are doing, because I think there's so many people that may not have a creative mind and are really bored right now. And I think that hearing this and hearing what people are doing right now and resources on what to do is so valuable right now.
I know having the capability to Zoom conferences and to actually see each other has been, I'm so happy we have this resource to connect with each other right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I did we did something last night, and you don't realize how much you do miss seeing each other's faces.
I know you can do Zoom and you can Skype and you can FaceTime all day long, but like physically touching somebody is very different. And I think I'm just gonna hug everybody. I'm sure the CDC is probably gonna tell me not to do that right away, but probably rush up and hug somebody.
You can just carry some Lysol in those post COVID-19 days. Just spray them with Lysol and then give them a hug.
There you go.
So anything else, Carolyn, you want to tell us about before we end our little conversation? Because we're going to do this with a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I would say be positive. We are a very resilient country, and we'll get through this. And it will take a little bit of time, but if you have a creative mind, really use it. This is a great opportunity to get in the studio and paint something you've always wanted to paint, draw something you've always wanted to draw, write something you've always wanted to write, take a picture of something you've always wanted to take a photo of.
Take a nap.
Take a nap. Thank you, girl. Yes. Have a cup of tea.
Yes.
Really, just kind of self-evaluate where you're at and be positive. I would say that. Just stay positive, and we'll get through this.
Sounds
it's a great time to use this time to build your health up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do some self-exercise, maybe go out and take a walk somewhere locally and stay 6 feet away. Well, that was Caroline Hatch that we had for our first part of the COVID-19 thing. Thank you so much for being on Art in the Air, our special edition.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Love you, Caroline.
Oh, love you, Esther. Love you, Larry. And don't forget, eat, drink, and be Larry. That's very important.
We'll always. Thank you.
All right.
And now on the phone, we have Steve Bensing, president of the Doolin Photography Club, and also a well-known photographer in his art. Welcome to the show on Art in the Air, Steve.
Well, it's good to be here.
Hi, Steve.
Well, hi, Esther.
So let's tell us a little bit how you're doing and sheltering in place for yourself personally, what you're kind of doing there.
Well, first of all, it seems that my employment, I'm an essential worker, so for my company, I still have to go into work. But they've changed our work schedules and so forth, so we're doing a lot of social distancing at work, and we're trying to do a lot more things remotely, but I still have to physically be at work. So that hasn't changed for me, but I'm spending probably more time at home than I usually do.
What do you do at work, just out of curiosity?
Well, I'm actually a chemist. I work for W.R. Grace in East Chicago, and so we're a chemical company, and we make products that are really important in the economy right now. And actually, some of our products are used in the for testing for the virus and so forth. So that's important too.
Okay.
Yeah, very important.
And you're not really getting to shelter in place as much, but with the extra time you're at home, how's this affecting you in terms of what you do with your photography and things?
Well, it does give me a little bit more time to work on selecting and editing my photos. I'm still looking at projects. For example, I'll be, along with Peggy Carter, I'll be having an exhibit at SFC Gallery in Michigan City in July. So we're preparing for that, and I'm planning on what I might do for that. And I'm also working on some of my photos that I take up to Wisconsin. When I go up there, I'm not sure, but I still like to prepare things that I'll be doing for my art that I get out and about with.
Very good. How is this impacting the Duneland Photography Club? You're not be able to, obviously, right now have your monthly meetings there at in the Porter County Sunset Farm, is that?
Yeah, we meet at Sunset Hill Farm, and the Porter County Parks have obviously postponed all the group meetings and so forth. Now, the parks themselves are open for Porter County for outdoor activities, for walking and so on. And as I understand, currently the state parks and the national park, like the Indiana Dunes National Park, you can still walk, and as long as you're practicing staying away from people, that's permissible activity. But as far as our club is concerned, we've already canceled several events. We had a class that we had planned a week ago that was canceled. We had an event that was scheduled for this past week, a field trip to the Studebaker Museum. That's been canceled. Next week we were supposed to be doing headshots at the Memorial Opera House, and that's been postponed for the future. We've also had to cancel our April 7th meeting, which we were supposed to have coming up. We are planning on our executive committee meeting by using Zoom technology, so meeting remotely to discuss some of the things that we're planning to do. We're trying to be creative in communicating with people and encouraging them things that they can do on their own, whether it be taking pictures in their backyard or the flowers coming up, or learning some things online with videos that are teaching photography techniques and so forth.
Yeah, you sure have been posting. You posted the winter shots that you took of our surprise snow, but you've also been posting wonderful virtual things that people can do to keep busy with the Camp Jordan YMCA, which was really interesting.
Yes, they're going to be doing starting next week, some virtual camp, which was pretty interesting. So some activities that the kids can do that would be camp-like activities, but that they can do at home.
Well, very good. So what is your plan once this is all over? What is it that you really want to get out and do?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of things we want to get out and do. One of the things I think is, just to be able to get outside and get together as a group and do some things, take some pictures. We have some teaching activities that we'd like to do that we haven't been able to do. So there's going to be a lot of that type of thing. But right now, obviously, we're hunkering down, but we're encouraging people to keep communicating. So we have for our club, we have a private Facebook group that we communicate back and forth about different things, and the public doesn't see that, but we have a lot of people sharing things. And for example, one of our members, he's doing some creative artwork with film photography, and so he's been sharing some of those things he's been working on at home. And we just kind of encourage each other with the different things that we're doing that way.
That sounds great. So anyway, any final thoughts about getting through this in the Lexington and sharing anything you got planned? And you got your exhibit at SFC, if we're all in the clear by the summer, and anything else?
Well, right now, obviously, everybody should, be safe and keep aware of hygiene and social distancing. But, the other thing is, even if you're at home, be creative. Look for things to do. And one last thing I would say is that support artists. If you can find a way to buy some art, do that. Especially our local artists. And I will say one practical way that we can do it. You can still go out and you can still purchase food at carry-outs and drive-ups and that type of thing. And one that I'm going to shout out for is Boathouse Grill in Michigan City. The owners of that place are the daughter and son-in-law of Linda Vicious, who's an artist in Michigan City, has speech class. And she's one that I really appreciate as an artist, and I like to support her family by stopping at Boathouse Grill and purchasing some food, and also enjoying something that some of our people that we know in our network and community are doing.
Yeah, it's very important to support our local businesses, restaurants and everything who can't have it in, and especially the locally owned ones, and even some of the franchise ones, which are actually locally owned. Right. So, well, once again, Steve, thank you so much for being on. That's Steve Bensing, president of Duneland Photography Club and a photographer. Thank you so much for coming on Art on the Air Special Edition.
Well,
thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Larry and Esther.
And now we continue with our guests on our special edition of Art on the Air with Billy and Renee Foster, no strangers to our show. And if you listen to the opening and end of our show, you can always hear the wonderful opening they did. So welcome, both of you, Billy and Renee.
Aloha. Hi.
Well, Billy and Renee, we're going to ask you, what have you been doing now that you are sheltering in place and kind of locked up with each other?
Well, what I've been doing is trying to learn how to use Zoom. I teach piano at IUN, and we're going to be going to online teaching this next week. And so I have to figure out a way to teach piano online. So it's been pretty interesting. We'll see how it works out on Monday.
That's got to be kind of difficult because you really need to sometimes see the fingering and everything and the whole... that part of it, which, that's a much more difficult thing than teaching a lecture-style class.
Right. Well, and then there are things that you need to be right with the student. I should be able to see. I'm hoping I'll be able to see their fingers and keyboard. If I've instructed the students to have a camera pointed at the keyboard so that I can see what they're doing at the keyboard.
And he's been experimenting on me.
Yeah, I've been experimenting on Renee.
Well, when we were first trying this telephone system out, I was experimenting with Carolyn. I finally, when I got this figured out to the way I did it, I said, okay, we're going to do a quick sample interview to make sure how it sounds, and that's what we do. So I guess our spouses are there for experimenting with these kind of things.
There you go.
We can't get away.
So Renee,
I've been practicing, so I'm having some extra time where I can get at the piano and practice. There are no gigs to be had, so...
you're probably all canceled out. Well, I know you can sit down at a piano and make music. When you stopped by our house not too long ago and sat down at Carolyn's piano, it was like haven't heard real music out of that piano for a long, long time.
Oh.
Well,
Thank
it was
you.
a pleasure to be at your home and visit both of you and your cat, Willow.
Oh, yeah, she's a real sweetie. She's rediscovered her mommy's lap. Hey, so Renee, what things are you doing during this time, creative-wise?
Oh, Lord, he's going to ask me that question. I have discovered pajamas. I have all different kinds, and they're being worn very well. I'm enjoying myself resting. It's surprising when you get into a pace where you're running all the time. It's like you're juggling. I say it's like a juggler. Everything is going to go as well as you can, as fast as you can keep it going. It'll keep going well. But if you drop one ball, that's it.
So
I've been sleeping.
Well, there you go.
Enjoying myself, and I'm not looking at the clock. Really, it's just whatever comes to mind. And I've been discovering new dishes to prepare for my husband. Because you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then the best thing we've enjoyed is soup.
Oh, great. Yeah, soup
I know,
is...
it's so
You
comforting.
said you made soup the other day.
I know, it's so comforting.
It really is. So all the vegetables and things that I cooked during the week, I put into my soup, and it made it taste really well.
Now, do you have two sets
As
of...
far as music, I haven't done any of my scales.
Uh-oh.
I haven't really done any breathing exercises, anything like that. I think it kind of took me a little bit because I was a little bit under the weather, and so I'm starting to feel a little better now.
Do you have two sets of pajamas, ones that you wear overnight and then you change into your daytime pajamas?
Well, it works a little bit like that.
I understand. I saw a thing online that said, you need to put on your jeans and things ever so often because the pajamas and those sweatpants are very forgiving about things.
Yeah, they certainly are. And when I get back to normal, I'm going to know that I'm not normal.
So one thing I know that, and this is kind of sad that happened, is Carl Cohen's passing and everything, and unfortunately,
no, that was really a hurtful thing to hear about Carl passing.
Right.
Billy has had a chance to talk to his father, but I haven't had a chance to speak to him yet.
Yeah, I was glad I was able to
to have the private ceremony due to the coronavirus.
Yeah, I was glad to be able to put together some of the video clips from the Jazz Nest Fest that we had.
Very nice.
Yeah, that was great, Larry.
And
it was beautiful to do a show for Carl too.
Yeah, that'll be great. Have a great celebration.
That was done, and it was a very good one. It was a lot of the music that he did. He did a CD. He was on the CD of Dr. Otis Williams, and he played so well on there. I didn't really know that was Carl. I said, "Wow, he really could play." I know. In being with him on gigs, you would hear him play, but he really expounded on what he did and what he knew how to do. Yeah, and in talking to his sister, she mentioned that he went to college and what was it, Billy? What did he get? A degree in the woodwinds.
Right. He went to Berkeley School of Music in Boston.
In Boston, right.
Yeah. But I played some cuts, too. Carl recorded some things with us, and I played some things from our CD also. So it worked out well. But what a surprise. My goodness.
I know.
And, Billy, you should tell people how they could listen to that. Is it still up online?
Yeah, it is online. It's on. I was going to take it down though this next week, but as of right now, it's online
but you should
at my website, billyfoster.com.
And the other thing I was going to ask you about is how does this impact your jazz show on the radio station WGVE?
Right. Well, I'm sort of doing what you guys do. I'm pre-recording everything and taking it to the station. So hopefully it won't impact the show.
Right. Well, that's what we're hoping. Right now, we're just running encore episodes of our earlier shows, which we might even run yours that we had back not quite a year ago. But the idea is that we want to stay active with the community, and obviously the arts events calendar is kind of meaningless right now because basically everything's canceled. But that's why I had this idea, and I bounced it off of Ester. I said we should get the people on to talk about what they're doing in this shelter-in place.
Well, while we're in place, it gives you a time to kind of reflect on a lot of things in the world and in your home and with your families and being concerned. And I'm so happy that I have a friend, her name is Esther, and she happened to call to make sure that Billy Foster was not going out on gigs because he was high risk. And not only did Esther call, but my sister called, and then his friend from high school called him to put the stamp on it.
Yay. That's a lot of love.
So I've been pretty much staying in. But I've been able to catch up. We're trying, in the process of catching up on some things. So this is good for that, though it's a terrible thing.
But Billy has a way of getting away. He doesn't stay in the house often. He gets a chance to go next door to his studio. So when he feels like he's kind of claustrophobic, he can run next door and do his radio show or do his practicing or whatever next door. So that kind of gives him an outlet. It doesn't really bother me being in, but today I kind of want to go out and kind of be about. And I'm seeing that my irises are growing, some of those things we kind of do.
I think you can take a safe drive, not getting out of the car, just to...
Well, they're having it where they want people not to be out and about. They want
that's
to
true.
Stay home.
That is true.
So our other hobby is growing in our garden. We usually grow collard greens and tomatoes and cauliflower.
Excellent.
So we hopefully will be able to get out and kind of do some of those things.
I know we've taken when on sunny days, we've taken a couple drives, figure that's okay because it's just the two of us, and since we're shut in together, we just stay in the car and go around and look at everything. So we figured that's safe enough because we're not going anywhere outside. Plus, like you, we have enough space here that if we want to get apart from each other, we can. So, well, one last question is, now, when this is all over, what's your plans? What do you first want to do when you get done with this shut-in-place thing?
I know what I want to do. I want to see Billy and Renee Foster.
That's nice of you, Esther.
Thanks,
Esther and Larry, you both have become such good friends, and we greatly appreciate you, and we celebrate the fact that you do have a show on air to tell people about the arts and the importance of the arts. It's devastating in a sense, because you start realizing and recognizing that the arts are a valuable part of a community and the nation, and people need to recognize that it is valuable to our lives to enrich them. And it kind of soothes people too at this time when you see on Facebook and listening to people how they have to find some ways to channel their stress or channel the nervousness within them because of the uncertainty of things with the economy and also with the people in their lives and those that are being affected with the coronavirus. And a lot of them, are nervous and afraid because I believe the count here in Gary is like 20 people have died so far. And then you have to think in terms of my sisters in Lansing, Michigan.
Yeah, I don't think died. I think they contracted the virus.
No, there are people that have died already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Billy, back to you. What are you anxious to do once this is all over?
What I'd like to do is, depending on when this blows over, so to speak, I'd like to reschedule some of the things that we've had to cancel. Depending on when that is, everything kind of depends on when we can get back to normal life.
That's true.
Renee, are you going to be taking piano lessons from Billy?
We've tried that several times.
It's kind of like having your
throughout the course of our being together. It does really kind of wake you up to realizing that if a person is truly a gifted musician, they are not only a gifted musician, but they have to practice a lot. And of course, the practicing, you have to, a lot of that time is spent by yourself. So you have to be one that kind of steers your own ship and keeps it afloat.
It's like the old joke, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. So,
Right.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today on this special edition of Art on the Air, and hope we get together pretty soon to talk about the Foster Golden Jazz Nest Fest and event spotlights and things when things get settled down here. So we
want to say thank you to both of you again, and Esther and your Ester in the Nest, and all the things that you present for people, because you're needed. You're a valuable resource in your communities. And Larry, you are so important with all that valuable information you have and all the abilities that you have. It's just so special. So we thank you so much for inviting us to be with you on the show.
And maybe when this is over, people will want to rush out and do some of these things.
That's for sure. That would be great. That's Billy and Renee Foster, and they're sheltering in place but having a great time doing it. We thank you for being on the special edition of Art on the Air.
Thank you. I love you both.
Thank you.
You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM. And welcome to another of our guests, David and Margie Kreiner, on the Art on the Air special edition, talking about sheltering in place and how that's affecting them. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Aloha, both of you.
Thank you. Hi.
So, David, tell us a little bit about what your art is, the different types of things you do, both music and art.
Okay.
Well, I've been a painter for quite a while, and I've been a musician for maybe almost as long. And so I find myself going back and forth between those two things for the most part. And lately, I've been working on paintings as much as usual, if not maybe even more, with the time that I've had. And then I've also been putting energy into a musical project that I am doing with a friend in Tucson, Arizona. We call ourselves KM. I'm David Kreiner, and my friend is Kirk Markarian.
So, David,
And, yeah.
did you start the end of something because of the virus, or was this in the works beforehand?
Well, that's a great question. We just very recently finished that song, finished recording it and naming it. I think we named it right around the time that this was developing here in the United States. So it would have been about 2 weeks ago, I think.
Right before. It was almost like 2 days before everything hit the fan.
Yeah, it was already starting to happen, though, at least in this country.
On the West.
But with regard to that title, the end of something, I like to leave it open. I'm not going to tell people that it's about the end of anything specific. I think it could mean different things to different listeners.
Like your paintings. I love the titles on your paintings for that reason, too. I love when you started posting all the different iterations of what the painting might be named. Those were great.
Yeah, well, when I paint, I go through a process where when I get to a moment, maybe some thoughts or some words kind of course through my brain, and I'll pause for a minute while I'm painting and go ahead and scrawl that message or that potential title on the back of the canvas. And then over the course of time, over working on the painting for who knows how long, maybe a few weeks or something, I might accumulate numerous potential titles. And then when I get to the point where I'm finished with the painting, then I usually just look at the back and I survey what I have there and try to decide which one seems to fit the best, which title.
Now, David, for my sake, what instrument are you a musician on, or instruments?
I play guitar. Yeah.
Okay.
And for the last few years, it's exclusively been a classical guitar. I used to play electric also.
Very good. We'll move on to Margie. So what are you doing in this time that you're shuttered in?
A whole lot of adorable is what she's doing.
I'm a miniature artist and a woodworker, so I'm away from my wood shop and just focusing on miniatures. I've been making a lot of clay, tiny fruit and vegetables.
And cake.
Lots of desserts. My showroom at my studio is turning into what's going to be called the Itty Bitty Mini Mart. And that is going to be a little shoppable room for artisan-made miniatures and kits for people to build dioramas at home. And it'll have furniture, and it'll have a food court, and it'll be set up sort of like a 1980s mall with a tiny record store that you could shop for miniature versions of your favorite records, or a VHS collection you could shop.
That's so brilliant. That's totally brilliant, Margie.
I'm trying to build community with the miniatures. I feel like it takes people into a different place in themselves, and it also opens up conversations between them and their kids, or the kids and their parents, or I have 2 other studio mates, and we're all contributing to building these miniatures. So I feel like it's going to create a fun place that is lighthearted rather than all of this heavy stuff we are all kind of focusing on at this time.
Now, besides art, what are you doing sheltering in place? How are you guys surviving that, and maybe what you're doing that's different?
Go ahead, David.
Well, one of the things that's been different for me as a musical artist is that I can't meet with another person physically. I don't have a practice space with band members in it. And so the way that my friend Kirk Markarian and I have been dealing with it is to email music files back and forth and then continue to edit on our own, okay? We actually started doing things this way before the COVID crisis became what it is now. We started doing it around, maybe the first of the year or so. And it was Kirk's idea to operate this way because he lives in Tucson, Arizona, so it already makes it physically, quite difficult for us to actually get together. So it's actually kind of nice, maybe, that we decided to work that way because now we really have no choice.
So did you two meet virtually, or did you know him before?
I knew Kirk. I've known him for about 10 years.
He's from Chicago.
Yeah, he's from Chicago, but he's lived in Tucson now for 5 or 6 years, I want to say. And we've kept in touch over the years, but it was he who reached out to me in December and said, hey, do you want to collaborate? I saw this guitar piece that you did, and I think maybe we could do something together. And I said, sure, but, how are we going to do this? And he said, oh, don't worry. We'll figure it out. We'll work it out. No problem.
After you did that concert during First Friday, I had so many people reach out and say what a marvelous time they had. Thank you so much. I feel so lucky to have had a live performance.
Well, I think, when things improve, let's do it again.
I say yes.
And then you can have a miniature exhibition there at the same time. You get Marjorie's working there and have a concert.
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's
the more the merrier.
Yeah.
So what's your plans after the COVID-19 thing passes, whenever that's going to be? Is there anything you're really dying to do that you can't do right now?
Well, I would like to have an actual art exhibition because I had one that got canceled a couple of weeks ago. So that's kind of where I'm at. So what about you, Margie?
Oh, I would like to go to public places and have someone else cook us a meal.
Hey, how's Smiley?
Smiley's real good. She's right here.
All right, that's our dog. She thinks that it was all her idea that we stay together as a family. He wins right now. She doesn't understand why we don't want to.
Yeah, this is ideal for her.
Yeah.
So you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
I just think that making art is a good form of therapy for anyone, whether they think they're an artist, know they're an artist, or have any creative juice flowing through them. It's a good place to process all the solitude. And go ahead, David.
Well, I agree with that. It can be very therapeutic in a time like this to make art, but it can also be really therapeutic and growthful to receive the art.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's so much going on right now in people's homes and private studios. Fortunately, we have things like Instagram where you can share it and still communicate with people
Across the world.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if there was such a rush, not on toilet paper, but on buying artwork or things like that? Well, thank you so much. That's David and Margie Kreiner for coming on Art on the Air, our special edition, talking about what's going on as we shelter in place. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you. I appreciate you both so much. Thank you.
And here we are with musician Jonathan Root on Art on the Air, our special edition. Welcome to the show.
Aloha, Jonathan.
Hi, Esther. Hi, Larry. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Well, we just kind of want to know what all of our artistic friends are doing in their, we'll call it the COVID-19 crisis and how they're surviving.
I've actually been having some good success finishing up some songs. I had reached one of those points. I mostly consider myself a songwriter, though I play music a lot, too, in bands and play my music. But I had a bunch of songs I was in the middle of, and I've kind of got them almost finished now, 4 or 5 of them, which is always nice. So.
Oh, that's so exciting, Jonathan.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it, too.
I heard you had a CD release at the Nest some time ago.
I did. That went really well. I did that with one of the bands I play with, Halo Moon Band. I played with them, and we did a bunch of songs from my new CD, which is called The Last Lecture Show.
There was
Anybody wants to look that up.
a lot of dancing going on. It was fabulous.
It was fun. It went really well.
It was loud and
Great
wonderful,
crowd.
and I loved it.
So, since I'm not familiar with your music, describe what kind of music you do, or do you have a classification or across different types of things?
I guess it's kind of 70s singer-songwriter with a little bit of a rock and roll edge. Does that sound about right, Esther?
I would say a lot of rock and roll edge.
Yeah, I always feel weird describing my own music because it just is what it is to be, you know?
And Jonathan writes such incredible lyrics, and then it all just works together so well. That the CD release party was just like a pinnacle. It was just so magnificent, and I think everybody was there felt how special it was.
Yeah. So, what's your instrument?
That was really nice to say. I felt the same way. I couldn't have been happier with that. It was an amazing night for me, so I'm glad everybody else had fun too.
So, Jonathan, tell me what instrument are you on?
When I'm writing songs, I usually write on guitar. I can play a little piano. When I'm playing in bands, I usually play bass because that's kind of what I've played since I was a kid in bands. And and I also play Chapman stick. And then there's one band I'm in where I play bass, Chapman stick, and keyboards, and a little guitar, kind of all at the same time sometimes. But it's kind of a weird band. But it's a weird band.
And obviously, you do vocals too.
Yes. Yeah, I sing and
Gorgeous vocals.
Oh, thanks, Esther. I think I don't consider myself necessarily a lead rock singer. Like I wouldn't do that in a cover band, but I can sing my songs okay, I think.
Very good. So this COVID-19, how's that influencing your life in terms of being kind of shut in right now?
Well, I am a single dad, and my son is a junior in high school. We are actually out walking our dog as I talk to you, just to try to get out of the house at least for a little bit every day. I work construction, and a lot of the work I do is maintenance work in hospitals and things in hospitals that are kind of remodels and things to get done. So I have actually been working about 4 days a week.
Wow.
Since this COVID thing, because what I do is considered essential work. So kind of lucky, but it's kind of a little weird being in hospitals because I can't really see anybody else, even though it's my son, but I can't, go to my fiance's house because she works with kids, and because I'm in a hospital during the day, I can't go over to her house because we can't run the risk of me having gotten something but being asymptomatic and then giving it to her and then her giving it to the babies that she watches.
So how's it to have a junior at home doing homeschooling, so to speak?
He is doing well, but my son is one of those kids that reads history books and watches YouTube videos about actual history, not pretend stuff for fun.
So, Jonathan, can you tell Elijah how much I love? Jonathan, can you tell Elijah how much I love the film that he did? And I wonder if that's something he can keep doing while in isolation. Is he planning?
I actually will do that. He actually is working on a film. He was lucky that they just finished the filming of his next project right before school closed. So he had that film. They filmed it at Peggy Sue's in Chesterton, actually. So he has the film for that, but he's got to do. So he's been working on editing on that. He's got a problem he's having now is he needs to do some re-record some of the audio, and he can't really do that because he can't get together with the actors right now. So.
Well, you can tell him when all of this is all done and over with, if he wants to do some sort of mystery around the arts, we have the space for a mystery.
I will definitely let him know. He is so leading into his kind of Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese phase right now. That a lot of his stuff involves things like that. But I will let him know. He will definitely probably take advantage of that.
There's something. The building was built in 1890, so I'm sure we can come up with some happy ghosts that will.
He would dig that, I'm sure. And then definitely that the front area, the street area in front of the nest is really good for stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan, what are you, now that we're hopefully going to get out of this sometime, what's the one thing you're going to really look forward to after the COVID-19 thing is past?
Doing a gig with the band, actually. Not just a coffee house gig, but we haven't even been able to, we kind of shut down band practice now, too, for isolation. So we haven't even going to band practice with Halo Moon, which is the one band that we practice with regularly, and then a couple other bands that I play with up north. It'll be nice to play with other people again.
Have you done anything via the internet? Have you Zoomed anything or?
I'm just learning about Zoom. Sholo's been doing some art stuff with Zoom. My fiance, Larry Sholo, is an artist. He has been doing some art things with Zoom, and I literally just got the app yesterday. So I'm
still experimenting.
Because I've been trying to figure out how to use it and what to say on it.
Okay, well, any final thoughts?
It takes me long curve on that.
Any final thoughts you have to share with our audience that are all shut in right now?
Music is good, and you can still get out and go for a walk. You should always at least go out for a walk once a day for an hour or so anyway. But I would say that. Oh, and also, Bob Dylan just released a new song. And
a long one.
You asked me about my music before I didn't get to, if I had to pick two songwriting heroes, it would be John Lennon and Bob Dylan. And Bob Dylan released a song called Murder Most Foul yesterday. And if people haven't heard that, it's available on all the platforms and on YouTube. Definitely see that. It is a 17-minute kind of beat poetry song. It's amazing.
Well, Jonathan, we appreciate you coming on Art on the Air in the special edition. And one of these times we'll have to have you in for a full-length version on our show. So that was Jonathan Root. They're out walking the dog on our special edition of Art on the Air. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Larry. Thanks, Esther.
Thanks, Jonathan. Bye, Elijah.
You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM. Okay, and continuing on Art on the Air here for our special edition, we have from the Tomfoolery Club, Tom Bialek and Michelle Piscol. Thank you for coming on the air and telling us about what's going on in this special edition.
Aloha, both of you.
Hi, Larry. Hi, Esther. How are you? Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, we're
excited.
Yeah, our pleasure.
We missed Michelle the last time we had Tom on. She had something else better to do than come on our show.
I know. I know how disappointed you were, Larry. We have her on the air today, so all is well. Hopefully it is.
Very good. Well, if our audience doesn't know, you are the founder of Tomfoolery Club, and this COVID-19 thing has to have a major impact on your plans with that.
Well, yeah, it sure does, Larry and Esther. This is kind of our busy time of year right now. Once we get through the Christmas holidays and late January, we start up and we go on through until early May. And then we normally do break for the summer and pick things up in the fall. But obviously, this has had a pretty significant impact on what we're trying to do.
Yes, we had a show scheduled with Skip Grubb Harris that we had to postpone. It was a sold-out show, and because of the limitations in groups of people together, we had to postpone that.
Very
devastating for the type of work that you do, because so much has gone into it way before that performance date. So I hope. So have the venues been accommodating with the different fees that you probably had to do up front, or?
Well, yeah, absolutely. We've been performing. They're very understanding, and obviously they're closed as well. So there's nothing that really anybody can do throughout this. We've postponed one show, and the other three we just canceled. And then again, we'll pick it up in the fall. But until that time, we're working on a couple other things to diversify our brand a little bit to hopefully bring some tomfoolery to your home very soon.
So you'll be doing something I think I saw online, Tomfoolery TV. Is that what it's coming on?
Yes. About a year ago, actually, we bought the domain name to tomfooleryfunclub.tv. And we've been, toying around with a couple of different things, trying to figure out exactly what to do with it, how to monetize it. And we've been doing some recording of some of our shows, and we're still tinkering with the quality. We want to make sure it's very high quality, and then on top of that, how we can bring it to you and do it in a way where it's equitable for the performers as well.
Very good. How do you support tomfoolery? I mean, I'm always curious about that. Is that done, you're out in venues, obviously people are paying admission. So is that how you're doing that and paying for your performers?
Yes. Usually, admission price helps to cover, and also sponsors. We've been very fortunate to have some very supportive sponsors that also help promote our shows, and we co-promote their business as well in the process. So that's also another avenue of being able to support the show.
Very good. Now, it started at Langel's Pizza in Highland, is that correct? Tell us a little bit the history of it.
That's right. We did our first show there just about 6 years ago, a little over 6 years ago now. And since then, we've done over 80 events. We've expanded to the south suburbs of Illinois, southwest suburbs. We've been doing some shows in Lockport. And we just did a big event out in Michigan City, Indiana, on the other side. So we're trying to expand our horizon a little bit and diversify.
Very good. Okay, so when you're not doing tomfoolery, and we'll ask Michelle this first, who is known as Miss Michelle during tomfoolery, what do you do for your regular life out of show business?
Well, I am a retired teacher, retired from Indiana, and now I have a new sort of venture, and that's working with an assessment company, a national assessment company. And I do a lot of professional learning with teachers, administrators in school districts, and things like that. So I'm still in education, just in a different pocket, not in a school building anymore.
Very good. And Tom?
Is that in Indiana or is that in Illinois?
It's nationally. So I do things a lot in Chicago, but also nationally whenever they need me to go to, a district outside of Illinois or Indiana.
Excellent. Well, now, Tom, what's your alternate life out of tomfoolery?
Well, I retired from the pharmaceutical industry several years ago. I just got tired of making all that money, so I decided to do some other things.
So you were
where I don't make hardly anything, but I'm much happier doing it.
You were a professional drug dealer, right?
I've been doing some in addition to tomfoolery. I've been doing. I do some training and consulting, and I do a lot of projects. I do a lot of freelance work. Actually, I'm working on a project right now that's designed to pull together small businesses, sort of a collaborative effort for entrepreneurs and small businesses to give them the type of support that they need in order to be successful. I guess for lack of a better phrase, you could say it's sort of a chamber of commerce for entrepreneurs. And that's one of the projects that I've been working on. I was hoping to launch that. Actually, I've semi-launched it right now, but with everything that's going on, it's put definitely a chink in that armor as well.
So that's coming up pretty soon. So, well, now how's your life changed? Obviously, you're sheltering in place for the most part, but what are you doing as you're sheltering in place, Michelle?
Yes, well, my company actually still has us working. We do a lot of remote connections via Ring Central. It's kind of like a Zoom. So we are still working, our regular hours during our day, and I have high schoolers at home, so they're still doing their schoolwork during the day, but we're kind of locked in place and just surviving at home.
Having high schoolers at
tomfoolery.
Having high schoolers at home, how's that doing all the time?
That's been interesting. It's been interesting, but so far so good. We have week 2 finished up. Well,
you being a teacher has got to be a great advantage for that because, there could be just a lot of them that are blowing it off and watching Netflix and not really doing any of their online study.
Right. But no, we designate hours during the day where there's the school time hours, and if they don't have actual work that they might have finished already, then they're going to read or do other things.
Very good. So, and
I've
Tom,
been watching a lot of Gunsmoke episodes and Rockford Files and Andy Griffith's Show. That's one of my favorites too. So I spend a lot of time watching MeTV, and I try not to watch too much 24-hour news because it's overwhelming sometimes. So in addition to TV, I've got the cleanest house in town. I mean, there's not a piece of dust around here. So you're safe coming over here as long as you don't bring any heebie-jeebies.
There you go.
So, Michelle, when you say you're working on tomfoolery, are you both going to do something from the house?
We've been doing some podcasting, so we're still putting out some content for tomfoolery. Usually try to get it created on the weekend, so it releases like Sunday or Monday. So just kind of like a video blog, and a kind of our podcast as well.
Excellent.
So, what are you itching to do after
I'm one of those right now, actually, just when we finish this.
Very good. So what are you looking forward to doing once this COVID-19 thing is under wraps?
Wow, that's a great question. Hopefully by the time this is over with, which we hope that'll be very soon. The weather will break and people can get out and get back to what we normally do, and that's get out and socialize. And I have to admit, as much as I hate to say it, I miss going to my local haunts here and having a martini and a steak or whatever. You really miss these things that you take for granted. So definitely you're looking forward to getting back out into the real world and seeing some people again.
Sure. Michelle, how about you?
Yes, well, kind of excited about getting back to our shows. We just really like that networking and being connected with people and making people laugh. So we're kind of getting excited about shows for the fall and getting around some people and laughing.
Excellent. Tom said when he was on our show before that you're really the power behind making things happen. Is that so?
Yes, I like to say that we do a lot of brainstorming. So when we do the brainstorming, then it's kind of I'm the make it happen that kind of pushes things and organizes, and then Tom implements. And so we're really a good team working together.
So what she's trying to say, Larry, is Michelle is the brain and I'm the storm. Storm's past, but the brain is always there. That's definitely Michelle's. Definitely been the not just the beauty, but the brains behind the operation.
So you're the idea person, and she tells you whether you can do it or not.
Well, I'm the idea person, and then Michelle tells me whether or not it's a good idea or not, and then we do her thing.
Then we make it happen.
Very good. Absolutely. Well, any final thoughts you'd like to share with our audience while we're in the special edition of the COVID-19 show?
Well, we know this is a frustrating time for everybody, and it's making everybody anxious. And we just encourage everybody to stay in. There's nothing to do outside anyway. It's rainy, it's cold, so stay in. And the more we can stay in, the quicker this will be resolved.
Right, and as you're staying in, why not take some time to think? Take some time to think and ponder and think about how you want things to be different maybe when we get over this pandemic. And so stay in, think, write, read.
Very good.
Listen to the Larry and Ester show.
Yes, we're been running encore editions, but now we're hoping to run. We're actually going to do 2 of these. This will probably be our second week of the COVID-19. Well, we'd like to thank Tom Bilek and Michelle Pisco from the Tomfoolery Show, which is not being able to be on stage lately, but they're airing to get back. And thanks so much for coming on this special edition.
Podcast.
And their podcast. You can catch that. Tomfoolery.com, correct?
Yes, and go to our Facebook page, Tomfoolery Fun Club.
There you go.
TomfooleryFunClub.com. Thanks, Larry and Esther. Thanks so much for checking in. We appreciate it.
Aloha. Thank you.
All right.
so
Take
much.
care. You've been listening to a special edition of Art on the Air. We'd like to thank all of our artist guests on what they're doing and sheltering in place during this COVID-19 issue. Art on the Air is heard every Friday at 11 a.m. and rebroadcast Monday at 5 p.m., Sundays at 7 p.m. on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM. And we will be doing some encore shows until we get out of this COVID-19 issue. Your hosts today were Larry Brechner and Ester Golden. We were doing this from the remote studio in Chesterton, Indiana, in my own home. Our underwriters for Art of the Air are Valparaiso University Brower Museum, our landlord, Walt Bredinger of Paragon Investments, and Art in the Air is supported by the Indiana Arts Commission and a National Endowment for the Arts. If you want to send us information about things you are doing during the crisis, you can send it to us at artontheairwvlp@gmail.com. That's artontheairwvlp@gmail.com. We will have in upcoming weeks encore episodes and maybe more interviews with our wonderful artists as they are in sheltering in place. See you right here next week on Art on the Air 103.1 FM.
Aloha, everyone. Have a splendid week.
Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. You're in the know with Esther and Larry. Art on the air today. Stay in the know with Larry and Esther. Art on the air our way. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world